me like,
Oh, that's a new
oh,
feature.
that is a
It
new
is.
feature. Kind of freaked me out. I was like, wow, okay. Well, hi everyone. Thanks for joining. I know that it's the start of summer and things can get crazy in the summer, so we appreciate you guys joining live. If you're watching this later on because you weren't able to join us live, hello and thanks for joining too. We will allow you guys to ask some questions. Sarah will monitor the chat, so if you think of a question midway through Angelica's presentation, feel free to drop the questions in there and we can read them as we go. But if you are okay with, popping in or showing your face or talking, I'm sure you can pop in at the end of her presentation and ask questions there as well. So this month we are talking about inclusivity and client experience. And I think I'm really glad that RTS kind of added this topic or added inclusivity into the client experience topic. We've talked about client experience before, but I think it's really important to talk about inclusivity and how to not only share with your client base that you offer your services to everyone, no matter their race or if they're LGBTQ or whatever. It's just so important to portray that to your audience and show them that you support them and that you offer your services to them. And Angelica is killing the game in her business, always has been, and she's a great person to come on here and not only talk about client experience but also talk about the inclusivity side of it as well. And so we're super excited to have her. She's a photographer. If you didn't know, she does all sorts of photography, from weddings to portraits to branding. I mean, I think she does newborns. I think you do everything, right, Angelica?
Dang.
Dang thing from start to finish, whatever you need, Angelica can do it. So we're really excited. I think one thing I have always been really impressed by you is your presence on social media and how you're always completely yourself and how you make everyone feel welcome and supported. And so we're really excited to have you talk on this topic today. So we're going to tune in to her. She has a presentation, so if you don't have your screens up, definitely tune in so that you can see what she's talking about. And then again, if you have questions, join the chat. It's just a little button at the bottom of your screen and you can type your questions in there. So Angelica, if you want to take it away.
Yay. Well, thank you, Tuesdays Together, for having me today. I'm super excited. I love all things business, but more particularly this topic, as I feel it's a great representation of what my brand stands for. So I'm going to be talking about how we can level up your inclusivity and your client experience in your business. So a couple discussion points. We're going to do some introductions, and then we'll dive into what the terms diversity and inclusion mean, how you can pursue diversity and inclusion in your business, and then how we can do some copywriting for these things. What is a client experience and ways to enhance your client experience. So who am I? I am Angelica Pompy. I am the owner of Pompy Portraits. I'm known as a yes queen photographer. I'll be shouting yes to you at your session or even in conversation. I have over 10 years of photography experience. My journey started here in Jacksonville. For those that are local and know Katie Studios, that's where my journey started when I was the young age of 16. So good times. I am a charcuterie board lover. I love wine and charcuterie and friends over. It's a good way to pass some time. My husband and I love to travel, and for those of you that follow me on Instagram, he has a personality of his own there. He always shows his face from time to time. I'm a fur mama of 2 dogs, and one of the things my clients constantly acknowledge is my diverse portfolio and the client's experience that they receive at Pompy Portraits. And a little bit more about Pompy Portraits. We are a company that serves our clients in photography, videography, and photo booth services. So we have 3 different tiers of businesses, 3 different things that we do here. But I'm the lead photographer. My husband is the lead videographer. And both of us do a little bit of photo boothing, and I have a manager that helps with that. So all the things photo and video related, we're your place to be. So this is time for you guys to interact with me. I want to know who I have here just to make sure that I'm giving examples as I go through conversation before I dive deep into my presentation. So in the chat, drop what kind of business you have, and are you a B2C or B2B, which is business to business? Are you serving business owners or are you serving consumers? So drop that in the chat so I can take a look and see what we have here in the house. Woo woo. Let's see. Perfect. So we have event planner, and we serve both B2B and B2C. I like it. Love it. We have some photographers. Very good. Very good. Love it. Okay, so as I go through my presentation, I'll try to give you guys some different examples to serve all of you today. Yay, wedding portraiture and portrait photographer, love it, B2C, yay, perfect. All right, so let's dive in here. So let's understand this. Let's do kind of some dictionary, understanding what diversity is. So diversity is a quantitative representation of differences, and that POC is people of color, LGBTQ, male or female, whoever your audience is, that is what your diversity will show. Inclusion is not only a quantitative representation, but more importantly, a qualitative experience around differences. Essentially, people can be their true authentic self, and you can provide
If you have any further questions regarding the issue, you can always call.
Sorry, I think I'm right now.
Thank you.
Larika, do you mind muting yourself?
Sorry.
No problem. Thank you.
Sorry. So inclusion, it is not only a quantitative representation, but more importantly, a qualitative experience around your differences. Essentially, people can be their true authentic selves, and you can provide an equal experience regardless of their background, whether they're people of color, LGBTQ, male and male, female and female, whatever that looks like, you are able to serve them and provide a product or service equally to all of your clients. So where will your diversity and inclusion show? I suggest that all of you after today just go to these 4 different platforms and ways to see how your diversity and inclusion will show. We live in a digi age, so Instagram and Facebook, social media platforms are the biggest ways people can see that. So just making sure you're posting constantly. There's platforms out there that you can use to post for you if you're not into the social media thing, but I encourage social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook. Another big one, and it's probably the one that's missed the most, is your website, guys. If your Instagram shows one thing and your website shows another, that's a problem. So make sure that they are cohesive, they are synced. If you have same-sex couples on your Instagram, you better make sure they are on your website as well. And another thing that people don't really think about is hosting events. When you host an event, make sure you invite people of all different backgrounds. It happens so often where you go into a room and you realize, okay, oh, am I the only, has happened to me on personal experience. I'm the only Hispanic in here. Like, okay. So that speaks volumes about your business, your brand, who you represent, the people you attract. So hosting events is another way that you will display diversity and inclusion in your business. And if you guys have questions, I'll hold them off to the end so we can dive in deep into those. How to pursue diversity and inclusion in your business. Be strategic, guys. I love to tell people kind of think outside the box. And if this is something that you want to enhance in your business, there's different ways about going about it. For example, plan a styled shoot. A lot of people in the wedding world like to interpret this as a style shoot, like mock wedding. But style shoots are not just for wedding professionals, it's for everybody. I recently was reached out to about a brand to model for them for their merchandise. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm all about it. Like, sign me up. So I just went to this photo shoot, and for my time, they gave me some products and all of that. And when I went into the room, I looked around and I was like, wow, these are some diverse women in here. There was an Asian woman, there was a same-sex couple, females, there was a Black girl. It was just like all of these people. There was one lady that barely spoke any English. I was just like, wow, this is amazing. And I felt empowered in that environment. And so we were all able to model her product, and for our time, like I said, she gave us a sweater. So it was really, really fun experience. And I like to tell business owners, a style shoot is not just for wedding professionals. It is for product-based businesses, service-based industries, whoever you're serving, you can have a style shoot. Another one is build relationship with vendors that are outside of your circle. You guys, this is so important. When you're doing this style shoot, reach out to other vendors that you've never worked with. Try to build relationships with people outside of social media as the world starts to open up. But just, interact with their social media platforms. Don't approach people and be like, hey, do you want to partner? If you've never really built a relationship with them, it's going to be hard for them to be like, okay, yeah, let's do it. So building those relationships before doing anything like partnerships is super important. And so I always tell people, reach out. Like, if someone asks me if I have a makeup artist, I have like 10 different makeup artists, and I know 10 different people that they serve and their specialties. One does airbrush, one does, regular, makeup. I'm not really in the makeup industry, but I have like 10 people on my hand that I can tell, hey, you can reach out to these people. Another way you can do is a model call and ask for feedback from those model calls. I recently did a model call for Boudoir, and I wanted specifically to have a representation of women of color in the boudoir industry. It's not common, especially here in Jacksonville. So I wanted to showcase women of color to able to empower them and make them feel comfortable, like this is okay for you to do a boudoir session. And then I asked for feedback. I asked for video testimonials. I asked for written testimonials. Make sure you're doing your due diligence as well to make sure you have that testimonial where you can put it on your website, you can put it on your Instagram, all the places to show that you are welcoming all the people. And last but not least, you can poll your audience or reach out to people for insight. This is a big one. When I started doing more of like same-sex couples, I reached out to a friend of mine that's same-sex, and I asked for her feedback on my proposal and my questionnaires. And she gave me feedback, like things that I need to change or things that didn't seem right, because I wanted to make sure my language was inclusive for everyone. So quick story time. So this is a personal experience. My husband and I, we got engaged in 2017. And as some of you guys know, with the wedding industry, people get excited and they want to do all the things. So as a newly engaged couple, I was like, I need a photographer and all the things. And I was so excited. And at the time, I wasn't knee deep into the wedding industry as I am now. So it would kind of alter my decision-making for what I know now, but I was excited, and I knew for sure one of the things that I need to look for is making sure they had people of color on their portfolio. My husband and I had a style shoot we did last year. So it was super fun to play models. So one of the things I was looking for is to make sure they photograph Black people and people of color. And as I was looking and vetting through photographers, I was like, whoa, this is okay. And I tell this to all of my mentees and business owners, people shop with their eyes. Before they even inquire with you, they're shopping with their eyes. They're seeing what you're putting out into the world, into the universe. What do you have on your website? The people that you're serving, the people you're surrounding yourself with. Those are things that people are considering when they are wanting to work with you. So as I started scrolling through, there was some style of photography that did not have any Black people in it. And I was like, okay, well, this is not the person for me. I want to make sure my husband was comfortable with them. And as I started reaching out and I started seeing, some people of color on their websites and Instagrams, I'd ask them, hey, can you send me a full gallery of, this people of color? And as I was getting those galleries, it was crazy to me to know that there was people out there that really are trying to have inclusivity and people of color and diversity, but they didn't have the knowledge to execute properly. For example, I got some galleries back and the editing style made the skin tones of the people of color look purple or blue undertones or blurple or whatever. I was like, wow, it was a very eye-opening experience for me. And at that very moment, that happened in 2017, I told myself that I need to make sure I'm serving all people of all skin tones. And people recognize that to this day, that in my business, like, you have such a diverse portfolio. Even I just did a bridal show this past weekend and people walked by my booth and they were like, wow, it's a diversity for me. I was like, that made my spirit so happy. And it's one of those things that I work so hard to do, to make sure I have a representation of all people in my business. So yeah, we ended up finding a photographer. They had a diverse portfolio, and my husband was all in for whenever I showed him the examples. So that just a little personal story and example of me in looking for a service and looking for diversity and inclusion and all of that. So tips for copywriting. I personally, like, copywriting is one of those things. It's like, I speak Spanish, so sometimes my Spanglish comes out, but these are kind of crucial things to think about as you start writing copy on social media, not just your website, but social media. One of the biggest things that I see in this wedding industry, more particularly, is the usage of bride and groom. I cannot tell you guys the importance of not using that term if you want to serve more people in that industry. Use the phrase couple. You're kind of idolizing yourself to only serving male and female couples. When you say the word couple, if you follow me on Instagram,
Yeah, sure, that could be anyone.
You'll probably never hear me say, like, hey, bride and groom is my couple. And it's a little bit of training that you have to do for yourself. But that's one of the things that you have to kind of train yourself to say, couple versus bride and groom. Another thing is in your questionnaires, use the words in terms partner one and partner two. I lost an inquiry from this back in 2018. I'll never forget, I had a wedding consultation with a couple, and we matched, everything was great, all the things. And I went to send them the proposal, and as a couple of days passed by, I hadn't heard anything. I followed up, and I'm just on his social media, and I realized they booked somebody else. And so I started browsing on that photographer's social media and website, and I was like, their verbiage was very different that I had. And they were inclusive. They served both same-sex couples, Black couples, white couples, Asian, the whole shebang. And I was like, wow, I probably did not get that inquiry because my questionnaire and my proposal literally said at the very top, bride and groom name. So at the very, very beginning of my proposal, I just kind of X'd them out of that experience. So I'm pretty sure I was so embarrassed. I should have asked, but I was mortified and like embarrassed that even they had that experience with me, because they're going to remember me like, oh, the photographer that said that she did same-sex weddings, but really she didn't, because her verbiage on her proposal clearly had pictures of males and females and it said bride and groom. So that is just a little testimonial there. So make sure you're using the proper terms. Use the term wedding party instead of bridal party. Again, just kind of training yourself to use the appropriate words. Other things for copywriting tips is avoid stereotypes. Think of how unempowering the term wheelchair bound versus someone who uses a wheelchair is. Don't use metaphors or idioms. These can be usually associated with a certain class or ethnicity or culture. So let's talk client experience, my favorite thing in the whole wide world. I love a good client experience. So before we dive in, I want you guys to understand what client experience is. So it is the impression of your customers that your customers have on your brand as a whole in all aspects of your buyer's journey. It is the results in their views of your brand and impact factors related to the bottom line, including revenue. Understanding client experience. When your client walks away at the end of your job, how do you make them feel about you? How happy are they with the service that they received? How were they treated? The value of the money they got, and what was the final product like? The answer to all of these questions is the client experience, not just the product. And when I say product, that doesn't mean just like a tangible product, but a service that you're providing. So these are kind of two things that I really wanted to dig deep before we get into examples of how to enhance your client experience. So let's talk about it. And I will tell you guys, client experience will literally make your business grow trifold when you're doing any of these things. I hear it time and time again, like my clients refer, it's like a snowball effect. They'll refer somebody and they'll refer somebody and they're like, yeah, I heard you, my such and such referred you and they had such an amazing time. And that will reside with people way more than you would ever think. And a little bit, another testimonial is I recently received a review on Google and I was just, out and about, and I got this review, and I normally look at them right away because I get excited. Google reviews are good for your business. So I was like looking at that, and the review was from somebody I had no idea who it was from. And I was like, I didn't do anything with this client yet. Like I haven't served this client in my business. And so I was reading the review, and this person left me a review for the customer service that I had provided her, even though I was not able to serve her. She said my assistant had called her within 24 hours. The information was clear. I responded immediately as soon as she inquired. I was literally blown away. And it was one of those things that I realized, wow, all of this hard work of creating this client experience is coming to life and people are recognizing it. And it just made me so happy. I was like, wow, okay, so it is recognized. And it's one of those things as an entrepreneur, you work in your bubble and you do all the things and you're like, is this stuff working? I feel like I'm running in circles. And at that moment, it was like a light bulb was like, yes, it's working. So I feel you. If you are in those shoes, don't worry, just keep chugging, keep being consistent. So these are 12 ways you can enhance your client experience. Number one is be consistent and timely with communication. Ask your clients to fill out a questionnaire. If you're a service-based industry, you should get to know your client just a little bit. The basics of where are they from or why they chose you and stuff like that. Just that way you have a background about them. Offer an in-person or phone consultation. This right here, guys, is a game changer. I will not tell you how many times, every time I get an inquiry, I call them and they're like, thank you so much for calling me. I was like, oh, well, no problem, of course. They're like, oh yeah, I've reached out to people and all I've gotten is an email. I'm like, I'm sorry. So it's one of those things, you have to build a personal relationship with people to understand their problems. That way you can serve them better. Be their friend on social media, whether that's Instagram or Facebook, whatever platform you prefer. I'm a social media Instagram girl, so I ask for their Instagram when they book me because I want to be their friends on Instagram. I want them to see behind the scenes. I want them to get to know me. That way when I show up to serve them, whether that's for a session or photo booth, they feel like we're besties. Send emails and reminders ahead of time for, delivery, or if they're expecting a package, or if you're going to be having a meeting with them, send them that meeting reminder. This is a big one. Under promise and over deliver. I mean, it literally blows their mind every single time. Have an easy to read packages and contracts, easy to understand. Only offer products that make you and your brand proud. I serve my clients with printed artwork. And so when they come into my studio space and they see pictures of me and my husband, I'm a true believer, practice of what you preach. And they see all these pictures of me and my husband. And I'm like, imagine when we have kids. I even have portraits of my dogs up on the walls. So that's how much I value portraiture and wall art. And so when they see those things, that's something that makes them relate to it and makes them feel valuable, like as they should invest in that as well. Have packaging that makes you swoon. I like to tell people, like, you know, your packaging over time, that can be costly, but make sure you adjust your pricing. That way you can have that nice packaging. It's nothing like going to a Louis Vuitton or a Chanel and they give you this luxe bag and you're like, I can't throw this away. I need to put this like on the top of my closet. There's nothing inside of it, but I need to just put it there. So I tell people packaging is key and when you're serving physical, tangible products. Have thank you cards. Very simple gist, but a handwritten thank you card goes such a long way. Start an email list with newsletters for exclusive offers. It makes people feel like they're part of the VIP club. And last but not least, gift giving. Gift giving is my love language. I have a past client on this Zoom call, so they know gift giving is my jam. And so rather that's something small, a trinket, something that represents your business, kind of think outside the box of how you can serve them and give them something that will commemorate and memorize the service that you provided for them. So did you know that 73% of companies with an above average client experience perform better financially than their competitors? Also, did you know that 1 in 3 customers will leave a brand they love just after one bad experience? So here's my challenge for you. What will you do to level up your current client experience? We will be connecting with each other here. So this is our time to connect. In the chat, drop your Instagram handle. I want to hear from you, whether that's you want to have more diversity in your portfolio or you're wanting to level up your client experience. Send me a DM with what your goal is. And over the next 30 days, I want you to really figure out a way and a strategy on how you can implement that. I promise you'll see a difference in the people that you're attracting and your ideal client. You'll get a better definition of the people you're able to serve. So in the chat, drop your Instagram handles. Let's follow each other. Let's connect with one another. This is one of those things, building relationships with people outside of your circle. So that way we can connect with one another here. So anybody have any questions? This is your time. I just gave you a lot of information, and if I went too fast, I'm so sorry, but I was excited. Anybody have any questions?
Yes, I think you did great, Angelica. I just want to remind people, if you don't want to come off of mute, feel free to drop your questions in the chat and we can read them off from there. Or if you would like to come off of mute, you are welcome to do so and ask your question directly. So just a reminder, like, you don't have to just type it, or you can if you can't come off of mute. So I do have a question. We have gotten a lot of new member requests recently, which is excellent. But for those of you who don't know, I think you all should know, we have a questionnaire that everybody fills out when they join the group. And I've noticed that we have a lot of new product makers who are joining, which is good. We've been a lot of service-based recently and have noticed some new product makers. So for any of them who might be watching this on replay, I don't think we have any of them with us today, but I know you mentioned styled shoots for product makers and making sure you get some inclusivity there. What if the product maker doesn't necessarily use models in their marketing or in their brand photography? What are some ways that they can ensure inclusivity within their website or within their marketing if they don't necessarily use models.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a big believer in doing some research, right? So figure out what are brands out there that are serving people and selling things. And maybe you see somebody using this product that you know, and ask them, reach out to them and say, hey, Susan, I saw you purchase this product and I wanted to know what about this product attracted you to that? Was it the colors that they use? Was it the backgrounds that were in the photo? Was it the verbiage that they use? Because the inclusivity and diversity is not only in the imagery, but also in the text. So how are you approaching your ideal client to this product in your text, in your comments, in your captions, in your video footage? Like what are you doing to make sure you attract these different backgrounds and ethnicities in your business? So do a lot of market research, see what other businesses are doing similar kind of products, how are they serving people, kind of basically be a stalker without being a stalker, to see how they're able to serve their clients and getting that diversity in their brand.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion. It always feels weird to stalk other businesses, I think, and and to reach out, especially if you don't know them, and be like, hey, I love what you're doing. How are you doing it? I think that makes some of us nervous. I know it makes me nervous.
Yes, for sure.
That's a great suggestion.
Love it.
Well,
Anybody else have any questions?
Allie said praise and support one another. I agree. I think that's
yes, absolutely.
important.
And as I tell people, like, this is one of those topics, if you don't have experience with like having a diverse portfolio, it's like kind of nerve-wracking to reach out to people and like make sure you're saying like the right things or the wrong things. Just be genuine, be true to yourself, and just be honest like on what you're wanting to do. Like I recently did a special project, and I upfrontly said to the model, is like, okay, girl, I'm gonna be using this for X, Y, and Z because I want X, Y, and Z. And she's like, okay, I'm all about it. Like, so being honest and upfront of, if you're doing a model call or a style shoot, like if you feel in your spirit that you need to explain more, do so. If not, just do your thing.
Sorry, I put myself on mute because the plumber was.
No worries. Other questions?
Yeah, I think that was great about what you're saying as well, is to just be genuine and authentic. And I think we all start somewhere if you have not done so already, and it's okay. I think it's okay to say you're just afraid to say I'm just starting on this journey and teach me. I think that's better than trying to know it all from the beginning.
Yes, and I think for those that are here today, well, now that you kind of heard all of this and seen kind of the things that I talked about, you'll recognize it more and more. Some things I see and it makes my blood boil, just because I'm like, you guys, you're like Xing out this group of people. And I'm like, but why? I especially in the wedding industry, the bride and groom thing, I see it all the time. And I'm just like, oh, it makes my heart very sad, because I serve all the people. So I know they feel some type of way when they see that stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's a great segue to another question that I just thought of is, what are some of those things? I know we all know the wedding industry fairly well, I think. I mean, I'm just looking at who's here. A couple of names I don't know. I haven't met you guys in person yet since we've been fully virtual. But I know a lot of you who are tuning in today live and who will watch this on replay are within the wedding industry. And so things like bride and groom, in using that type of terminology, I think is a great example. But what are other phrases or terminologies that you have seen used frequently that professionals should consider altering in order to make themselves more inclusive?
Yeah, absolutely. There's some things like some people put in their Instagram to show like LGBTQ is like she, her, they, like that pronoun. Even so, like in I serve a lot of parents and new moms and new dads and all of that. So instead of saying like new mom or new dad, you can just kind of say parenthood. It kind of takes the bulk of the things, because we live in an age that's ever changing and it's not just mom and dad. So it's hard to think about if you don't like you're not kind of like digging for it, but you'll start stumbling upon things as you understand these concepts more. It's like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. Like, okay, I'm serving, for example, boudoir photography is predominantly more women. So that in that case, I am going to say boss babe, baddie, whatever the case is, because that client is for women. But for something like photography or service-based or a product where it's very general, being very cognizant on how you term and how you phrase things. And if somebody checks you and says like, oh, what are you saying here? Like, don't take it offensive. Just like, okay, take a moment, read what you wrote and fix it. Take it as a lessons learned. Because like I said, when I lost that couple, same-sex couple, I was mortified to even like follow them on social media again. I was like, oh my God, I felt so bad. And I was like, my proposal clearly said like, I don't accept same-sex couples, like clearly. So it's very eye-opening as a business owner, and really things you don't really think about until you're like, okay, this actually sounds not too good. So let's change this. This sounds great.
I think to your point too, that was something that you were not intentionally trying to be exclusive, and you realized it once, you sort of recognized that couple went with another photographer and looked at your proposal and recognized that. Are there any resources or websites, I mean, other than this presentation, which has been fantastic, that you would recommend for business owners to go through to sort of help them sort of check themselves, to help them?
There is a educator named Tamika. I'll send that in the group. She's amazing, and she's a photographer as well, but educator on like how to be inclusive, how to, diversity is very important in your business. And I think the biggest thing that she preaches is really how and where and who you surround yourself with. Because of course we can say we do all the things, but if your group of friends and things are not your portfolio of your business, it will be a little harder for you to be inclusive and to have a diverse portfolio. So it really stems from the roots and the values of your business. And if that's something that you value and you want to make sure, start kind of altering your lifestyle of like who you surround yourself with, because that's super important in your day-to-day, and you just kind of you're living in your truth. So super important.
Yeah, perfect. I think that's a good resource. I think it's always important too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Any other questions? Thank you guys so much for being here. I was so excited. I didn't go to bed till 2 a.m. I'm going to be honest. I was like, I'm going to be reviewing this. And this was a very easy topic for me. So everything was just like kind of explaining all the things. So I want to say thank you guys so much for being here. It really means the world. And I will connect with all of you on the gram. If you get a DM from your girl, you know why.
Yes, thank you, Angelica. I apologize, guys. We're having some plumbing work done. We busted a pipe last night, so in here it goes again. I'm sorry.
No, good. You're good.
Thank you, Angelica.
Thank you, Brandon.
Yes, but we will, if you guys can hear me, we have recorded this. As soon as it downloads to the cloud, I will get it, one, sent over to you, Angelica, but two, get it uploaded on our YouTube. So if you want to go back, and I'll post it in the group as well. So if you do want to go back and rewatch or access any of the information that Angelica shared with us today, you will be able to do that. I should have it up this afternoon. And then you'll be able to go back and watch it again or share it with anybody else that you feel may want to learn more about inclusivity and client experience. So
yay.
Yeah, thank you guys for being with us today. Before we sign off, if there's any more questions, feel free to just pop in with them real quick. And no question is too silly. I always like to say that.
Yes.
No question too small, no question too silly. So don't hesitate to ask. And I'm sure Angelica would be happy to answer any questions if you think of any after the sign today.
Absolutely. Just send me a DM on Instagram and we can kind of chat from there. You get all of me on the social medias. So I have an assistant. She does all the business stuff that it's not fun. So So Instagram is my jam, and it's a fun place for where we can
Yeah,
hang.
you're one of my favorite people to follow on Instagram. It's always
Aw, thank you.
so.
Yay.
Well, y'all have a great day. We will see you next month.
Yes.
And we'll see you on Instagram, hopefully.
Yes.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.